What does a trolley, a pugil stick, and Richard Branson have in common? They've all been in contact with this person.
And here comes Jackie. And here comes trouble.
I really hope John Sachs wasn't referring to me when he said, "Here comes trouble." But I'll tell you one thing, his opening words of "Here comes Jackie" are applicable. They were applicable in 1995, and they're very applicable now because Jackie Kinsella, hello. And
Hi.
also, could I just also say, Greet is the first person I've spoken to that's halfway across the world because you are in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Queensland.
Oh, wow. So technically that means you're in the future at the moment because it's at the time of recording, it's Saturday night here and you're already in Sunday. So
Yeah, that's true. So have I gone back to back to the future or for I
you've
don't know.
gone forward. You've gone forward to the future, I think. Yeah.
I'm forward to the future and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna step back.
Yeah, that's it. You're time traveling now. What's it like in the
I'm
future, by the
traveling.
way? What's Sunday feeling like? Because I'm still on Saturday.
It's nice. It's actually
Yeah.
winter starting here now, so you're about to
Right.
go to bed soon, and
Of
I'm
course,
about to
yeah,
start.
because I've just thought, yeah, our seasons are completely inverted, aren't they? So your winter time,
Yeah,
we're just going into summer, allegedly.
yeah.
You never know around here.
Well, our winter's like your summer, so it's beautiful. I can't really call it
Yeah.
winter. So
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's
just that
good.
I get the impression of Australia is mostly sunny all year round, just gets a little bit cooler. What is cool for you is like absolutely roasting
Mm.
for us. It's like a heat wave for us. So we don't,
Yeah, that's
we
pretty
just
much
are
it.
sun.
It depends where you are.
Yeah. So basically with this, it's a pretty good follow on from when we spoke to Lisa last week because what we're going to find out is that there are some, although you two are in different series, like Lisa was series
Mm.
3, you're in series 4. There are actually some similarities because Lisa was a heptathlete.
Yeah,
You were a heptathlete as well. You both made it to the quarterfinals, and then you both got called up as a reserve for international competition. So there's quite a lot to unpack with all of this. But
yeah.
how does it feel like looking back on Gladiators after all these years?
It's been really good actually. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like life goes on, doesn't it? And you kind of
yeah,
forget what you've done.
yeah,
But you'll feel this because you're like now that it's coming up again, it's like I want to do it. I want to do it.
yeah,
It's still in there. It's
yeah,
just such a brilliant show.
yeah,
I think once you've ever experienced like yourself as well with the reality TV, it's
yeah.
like a different dimension. But when you've been athletes, you've got that hunger, and
Yeah.
I think it stays with you, doesn't it?
Do you know, I think you're right. Yeah, because I suppose even on the, like for me, like the sport with the rowing side of things and like the athletics, there's just, you get used to that competitive nature, don't you? Everything
Yeah.
is, you view as like a competition and it's always, whatever you do, you want to do better sort of thing. That's
Yeah.
how I've sort of found it. But yeah, because what I was thinking, just to set the scene for everyone, we're going to be covering we're going to split it into two parts. You've got your domestic show and then the international, and we're breaking those up for a reason. If anyone remembers you, Jackie, they will understand how epic the international one was. But in between those, we'll cover your heptathlon career as well. So we're going to do that in between. And then after all of that, we'll then find out what you've been up to in more sort of recent years. And also the fact that you're living halfway across the world now, because you were in Britain at the time, weren't you? So,
Yeah, I was. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Grew up in Liverpool.
So, in terms of getting on Gladiators, what was your route to getting on there? Because can I just confirm? Because they said you were an air hostess. Were you doing long haul flights and everything around the time that all the auditions and everything were happening?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
been flying for about 3 years, I think it
Right.
was. So Gladiators was just a dream. I'd
Yeah.
always just this thing about wanting to be not a contender. I always
Yeah.
wanted to be a gladiator.
Right.
And obviously I had a background with Nightshade. So what I've
She
forgotten the
used to
name.
be a
Judy.
heptathlete, Judy Simpson, I think. I'm
Yeah,
sure her name's
Judy
Judy Simpson.
Simpson.
I know
I
them as
know,
gladiators.
mind.
Yeah. So,
So I'd seen her and I was just like, I want to do that so badly. So
yeah.
it just so happened that was just a little pipe dream in my head. And
Yeah.
then my Fridays when I was home, I lived in Reading at the time. I
Right.
used to go to TGI Fridays with a
Yeah.
girlfriend. And I was sitting there and I looked across the bar and I saw Daley Thompson. Do you remember Daley, the
Oh,
decathlete?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Mr.
Daly.
LA Olympics. My earliest memory, LA Olympics and Daley Thompson. I got the big G boys. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, because I was the head athlete, we had a bit of a sort of family crew, so we'd always travel around the world doing events and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I knew Daly, and I hadn't seen him for
Hmm.
years. So I go over, and he's like, "Jax, what are you up to?" And I told him, and he's like, "Really, a flight attendant? You want to be a flight attendant?" And I said, "Well, no, actually, I want to be a gladiator." And he went, "Well, why aren't you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, don't know." And he goes, just audition, just write a letter, go
Hmm.
for it. And I was like, you know what? And I don't know whether it is because I had a drink or not, but I had
Yeah.
this new bravery, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So the next day I called up a girlfriend because I'm a bit shy, believe it or not, in front of a camera by myself.
Yeah.
I said, listen, I need some help. I need to take some photos.
Hmm.
So I went round there. We did this fun photo shoot, just the two of us, with all
Yeah.
this sexy, like you remember the leotards in the 80s and 90s where they go up your
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I did have little like bicycle pants on, and I was
Yeah.
doing all these poses. It was so
Right.
funny. It was just so not me. And I
Yeah.
hand wrote a letter because I didn't
Right.
know what to do. Somehow I'd managed to find where to send it in London Weekend Television,
Yeah.
and thought nothing of it. I thought,
Hmm.
okay, there you go, that's done.
Yeah.
Carried on with my life. About 2 weeks later, I was in, I don't even think it was 2 weeks. I think it might have been my next flight. I was in LA,
Right.
and we'd gone out for dinner for someone's birthday. So it was a late night,
Hmm.
and the phone rings in my room, and I'm like, they say, no, it's Gladiators London Weekend. And I'm like looking at it thinking, this is a prank. But I was like, this is weird. But I realized I hadn't told anyone in Virgin. It was just something I was doing for myself. And so I thought, this must be real. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? We're auditioning for Gladiators. And I'm like, well, I'm in LA, but I land at like 6 o'clock in the morning or something. And they're like, oh, that's good. Can you get to London by 9? And I'm like, oh my God. Of course, don't think about it. Just say yes. It was
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those moments. And they're like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And I was all
Yeah.
bravado, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I got on the flight. I went to bed, obviously,
Yeah.
slept as much as I could that day because we were leaving that night,
Hmm.
which meant, back in time as we are now, I'd be
Yeah.
landing.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in the galley and I started doing push-ups. I was freaking out. So I'm doing all these push-ups and the crew are looking at me going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was just like, doesn't matter what I'm doing. I've just got to do push-ups. So I was really scared. And then, so anyway, needless to say, I got my little trolley along to
Yeah.
the audition.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had aerobic gear in my
Right.
case because when we used to do rollerblading and stuff in LA.
Right.
And yeah, I did this trial, but it wasn't like the normal trial that you would have experienced. So it was like an assault course thing. And to be
Okay.
honest, I couldn't do pull-ups, useless
Right.
at pull-ups. So, but in this trial, I had a rope. And
Yeah.
I remember I standing on the line, and it was another beautiful girl. Her name was Rachel. She was in the show. She
Right.
was a really tall, 6'2" blonde model. And I'm looking at her going, oh my God, she's gorgeous. I'm not going to get this. And then I thought, stop it.
Yeah.
You have that little conversation with
Yeah.
your head, stop it. And I thought, just go for it. And we both got to the rope and we couldn't do it. Like we got halfway up. It was so high.
Yeah.
And we're up there for ages, and they're like, come on, get up there. And we're like,
Yeah.
And then in the end, they both said, okay, get down, just keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
I remember we got down, and then I actually won the time trial.
Right.
But at the end of it, they said, look, we've got to be honest with you. You're both lovely girls, but you're not good enough. You're not good enough at this point to be a gladiator.
Yeah.
And I remember my heart sinking, and I was just like, okay, well, it's all right. I'll train. I'll get really strong. And then they said, but we have a proposition for you. And I was like, oh yeah, what's that? They're like, would you go on the show as a contender? And straight away, I just felt sick. I was like, hadn't even been in the sphere of my mind, And I was like, oh no, I'm not fit enough to be a contender.
Yeah.
Which is quite silly because I was trying to audition to be a gladiator.
Yeah.
And they're like this. They literally were like, carrot dangling. We're dangling a carrot. If you want to get on the show so we can see how good you are, and then you might become a gladiator, do it. And I said, well, how long have I got? And they're like, 6 weeks. And I was just like, oh my God. So I said, let me make a call. So I went outside, I called Richard Branson's office and just said, look, I'm in London, I'm doing a trial. I've got an opportunity to go on Gladiators. Do you think that I could take 6 weeks unpaid leave so that I can train? And she's like, oh, let me get back to you. And within, I reckon, half an hour, I got the phone call. Richard's so excited. He wants you to do it. He said, yeah, you can have paid leave for 6 weeks. And he said, you better win.
No pressure.
I was like, oh, the pressure. Yeah. So that was how I got on. And I just went back and recruited some people to help me train for 6 weeks.
You said there was a blonde girl with you. Was it Rachel, you said?
Yeah, Rachel, yeah.
You know what? I bet there are people watching this who'll be screaming at me saying, well, how can you not remember her name? It rings a bell now. In that series 4, I do remember some tall blonde girl, and that her name must have been Rachel. It does ring a bell. So you and her tried out together.
Yeah. I mean, talk about insecure, though. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's funny. Do you know what, though? Like, even with me in competition, sometimes there are ones I don't say the same thing when I'm competing against other guys. I'm generally just thinking like, oh my goodness me, how the hell am I going to beat them? You know, it's all that sort of type thing. And then it's the whole, as someone said to me recently, he said, you got to be able to back yourself. You got to believe in yourself to then sort of do the best job you can. But
exactly. It's mostly mindset, isn't it?
Mind you, although your route into Gladiators was unconventional, I mean, we'll talk about it later. I mean, your sporting history kind of spoke for itself. I mean, with the heptathlon, well, we'll go into details later, but some of your stats there. So I'm guessing that with all the long haul flights, you weren't able to train that regularly at the time, were you? But the ability, I imagine, was still there in the background. It's just you weren't able to train regularly at that point, were you?
I think obviously it was only 3 years later, so I was probably relatively still fit, but I actually went the other way. So my fitness regime was mostly like rollerblading along the beach, or I did a little bit of weights in the gym. But it was just so far from the life I had previously. I'd literally switched, like done a 180.
Right.
So on a fitness level, I looked quite lean, but I wasn't aerobically fit at all.
Got you, right. So out of interest, so you had 6 weeks now to try and just hit the gym hard and get in as best shape as you could in that period, which, I mean, in that time, you're going to start waking up some of your old abilities, as it were, from, you know, from your heptathlon days. What was your impression when you first arrived? Because I'm assuming you just did all your training with the games and everything. You just arrive up there before filming. Do you get some practice at the games for your series?
Yeah, we did get a little bit. But the irony for me is that the ones I practiced didn't actually get aired, like the wall and everything.
Oh no, yeah.
It's quite funny, but we did get a go on each. As far as I remember, we had one go or a couple of goes on whatever we could pick what we wanted to try out.
Yeah.
And then we got one go of the Eliminator.
That's what Lisa said last week. It was the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember even then with the Travelator going, oh, this is dodgy, because they could speed it up, lower, slow it down.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm gonna have to really work at that Travelator, and I only had one shot at it. So I knew in my mind that it was something I had to conquer, but so you just show up. They gave us time every day to go to the gym if we wanted to do weights or interval training or anything like that. So we did have time to do other fitness.
Right.
But because the shows didn't really start filming till the evening. I remember it was like 6 o'clock till midnight or something.
Yeah,
my shows anyway.
Yeah, I think what would happen, I remember back, because I started going to some of it was actually the first show I ever went to was the men's was the grand final of your series. That was the first time I'd ever watched Gladiators, and typically I think they try and do 2 shows, like an afternoon and an evening one. But
that's it.
Evening one, I felt sorry for people in the evening, because you're running the Eliminator at like nearly midnight on occasion. So
both my first 2 Eliminator, well, all of them were at about midnight. But for me, it was a bit of a running joke because I was a flight attendant. I was I was always flying to America, so I was kind of like normally awake at midnight.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because your body clocks.
Yeah, your body clock was all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know how, very quickly with the flight stuff, whenever I'd fly back from America back to the UK, it would take me about a couple of weeks to settle back into like normal, sleeping patterns. Well, sleeping patterns, one thing, just exhaustion in myself. I did not travel well. I don't know how you could do that for a living.
I think for me, like I had a good routine. So I'd always get back. We always landed early in the morning, and a lot of flight attendants would stay awake, but I couldn't do that. So I'd go to do my laundry, go to sleep, wake up, and I'd always get a curry.
Right. Sounds good. Yeah.
As you do. And then I'd go back to bed at about, about 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just kind of like, I think sometimes you're in a bit of a zombie mode. You just do it. Like,
sort of routine.
I think it's harder now, like as a mocha.
Yeah, I'm finding. I'm finding the same thing with training. It's I'm finding now that if I do training, I need more rest periods in between and all that sort of stuff. I think I'll tell you what. Should we? So we've talked about your audition. You're having the practice runs. Should we just call up a quick sort of montage of what happened in your domestic series first, and then we'll get your take on this? Yeah.
Yeah, go on then. Go on.
All right. Okay. Bear with me because this is where I have to see whether I can do all this editing on the fly. So we're going to go to share screen.
Contender! Air stewardess Jackie from Caversham, 5'9", 2 inches shorter, but carries an important 7-pound weight advantage. Oh, and Jackie immediately tried to knock the Falcon off her perch. Some good, solid whacks getting in.
That's the sort of battle we all want to see. Well done. Hard work.
Yeah, she's a tough nut, she is.
And she's not packing a parachute either. Oh, well, Panther's no problem. And Jackie's had plenty of experience at jets. He strikes hard and tries to slam the brakes on. Oh, lightning's earth to ramrod. Jackie's through. Mum, Dad and brother delighted.
That was pretty tough. You suffered some turbulence there. It was hard, they really gave us a thing. Thought my head was going to be knocked out.
Jackie against Nightshade. Oh, leaves deadly for dead. 2 points. Lightning up the travelator. She pumps it, keeps her head up high. Oh, just makes it, grabs the rope for a place in the quarterfinals. Jackie Kinsella.
And she's going to be battling it out against Amazon.
Contender, ready! And it's all
time, and the air hostess straight down to business, almost sends the Amazon flying. And look at Jackie come through. The stewardess is having a flyer, touches down in the lead, under the web trap, and with contempt, a brilliant 10-point victory. And it was only ever one real certainty in Hang Tough. When Jet's around, oh, it scissors and cuts her down.
It looked as if you were on quite a good route until Jet appeared. Yeah, short and sweet. I know a lot of men who'd like to be in that position I was in then, but...
Did you notice how we were grinning towards each other? This is the grinny match. If I can't psych them out verbally, I can do it for a grin.
Now up the travelator for a place in the semi-finals. She's there. No, she's not. Straight into reverse on the travelator.
Yeah, well done to Kathy. She's a good athlete. Really is. She deserves this. I wish I'd have won it.
I'm sure. I wish we could have 2 winners. Let's hear it for Jackie!
Oh,
the memories.
Oh, the memories is sweet and sad and all of that.
Do you know what? That travelator, you were there, weren't you? Your hands seemed to be planted on the top as well. There was just a fraction of I don't know. It was just because then... assuming you got up, you would then have been up against Janet in the semi-finals, wouldn't you? Janet Allen went on to win it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's painful to watch that because you want to go get up.
I know. Yeah. Do you know what? I almost felt bad about putting that little bit in the end at the end because it's almost because I know with me when I've done stuff, I sort of some things I just want to block out from my mind. But overall, I mean, you were pretty solid on the show. I mean, the duel as well. I mean, God, you had a couple of tough matches there.
What are they called? I call them big cotton buds. What do you call them?
Yeah, they are. They're cotton buds. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, have you got any personal, any personal memories yourself? Just a side note, to answer your question, yes, a lot of men were jealous of you with Jet on Hang Tough. I know I was.
That was so funny. She was so beautiful, wasn't she? I don't know. Sometimes, like, I was very aware of those interviews. Sometimes the things just flew out of my mouth, and it was just.
Well, they left it in the edit, so they were happy enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
Do you know what? That year, me and my mate met Jet. She was at Caldecott Castle a couple of months before your series films, and we met her for the first time. And me and my mate, we were just not going to lie. Yeah, Jet, if you're watching, I'm very sorry. We were drooling, okay? I'm a bloke. What can I say? You know?
Oh, she's so stunning, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, that was fun.
Yeah.
And very talented as well.
Yeah.
A great gladiator. Yeah.
She was so good at the game. She's very adaptable at all of them. So yeah, I mean, what were your personal, out of interest, what was your favourites? Did you have any favourites on events that you played, or?
Yeah, I actually really like the wall, but that never got shown. I don't know why. I just love climbing up that wall. So I was pretty good at the wall. I loved Duel. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I noticed is that you actually never got beaten in Duel. You're one of the few contenders that are unbeaten on it. Because yeah. We will. Maybe I've spoiled it a little bit for the international clips later, because you got the winner, because you got 2 draws. You went against Falcon and Amazon, and then I think you had the Russian Gladiator. I think it was Lynx that you had in the internationals, and you got the win. So nobody's knocked you off the podium. You stayed up there.
Well, I think it's really funny, you know, because thank you. I'll just put that in my little memoir. With the Duel, it was really funny because, you know, you've got to sort of bring up this aggression, really. You've got to go for it. And I'm not really that type of person. I know I'm competitive. I'm very competitive, but it was more like, how can I, especially against what was the name? What was Sharon's?
Oh, Sharon Davis, Amazon. Yeah.
So with Amazon, there's a bit of a story there.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know if this is legit to tell, but I was dating someone previous to the show, a couple of years before, and he was in the same. He was a little bit of a media celebrity, and her and him were at some dinner, and I remember he came back and said, "Oh, Sharon gave me a phone number." But to be honest, there's probably no malice in it. It's probably just like me giving you my phone number if we go out.
I get. Yeah.
And but in my little 20-year-old head, I was like, she was after my boyfriend. You know?
Right, I got you. Yeah.
So I was dating someone else on the show. Like, it wasn't the same boyfriend, but I remember, how am I going to invoke some kind of here?
Oh, I see. So you just like went into that sort of mode. You think like, stay away from my man.
You wanted my boyfriend. When she actually probably didn't at all.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you say that, because when you look at the clip back, you can see a bit of a staring match going on between you two, because I suppose they're just trying to psych the contenders out, aren't they? But
and so that's like,
I suppose this is one of the things when we watch the show, we do sometimes wonder what goes through people's minds before some of these events. So that's a new one. I've not heard that before. So
well, if you think about it, that's the only one where you're really face to face, isn't it? Like the others, you're really running away from them.
Yeah, well, I suppose a head-to-head one like that. I mean, I suppose you got Whiplash, but then you're sort of facing them, but you got that dog bone. You're trying to, you know, sort of pull back and forth.
Oh, I didn't do Whiplash.
Oh no, you know, yeah. But in terms of being that close, I suppose it's pretty much just Duel. I don't think there's much else, because Powerball. Actually,
what's the tunnel one? That tunnel one.
Oh, the gauntlet. Oh my goodness me! Yeah, running through 5 of them. Yeah. Mind you, you're pretty good at that. Yeah.
I don't know how.
Out of interest, I've always wondered what gauntlet feels like to run. I mean, was it more difficult than what you expected, or?
Yeah, it was. It was one of those ones you knew it was going to be tough, obviously, because you'd seen other people go through it and they just got pummeled, you know, they got beaten up. And I remember standing there at the start, and you're kind of half really terrified, but really you've got to really find this inner mumble and just go for it. But I think you get tips, like you know, it's really good to watch other people, because you can see they spin and stuff like that. So for me, I was trying to put it all together that it's not just brute strength. You don't just run through there. You've got to play a bit smart. And I remember I was really angry. That clip you just showed at the end, I don't know why, but I was really angry at that. I think they just really hurt Linda, who was the competitor.
She was in your first episode, yeah.
Yeah, and I think she was only little, and I think she'd really hurt herself in that show. Not that they intentionally did it, of course, but
yeah.
So I was kind of fueled up because of that. I thought, right. You've heard it.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
Yeah, because there was actually something in wasn't it? I don't know if it was in your quarter final. You mentioned something initially with Linda that her kids were a little bit upset that her mum lost, but then you were all sort of like they were all giving you a hug and everything afterwards. So it's so what's it like when you're against a contender? Do you generally end up getting on quite well, and is it normally quite a good atmosphere then?
I did, because that's the kind of person I am. Like Linda and I got on really well, and it probably wasn't the best way to do it, because when I was against Kathy in the next show, we were amicable, but she was really, really wanted to win, and she was good in a way because she kept a distance from me, really.
Yeah.
Which is probably what I should have done if I was really set on winning. I'd be nice to people, but don't befriend them, because at the end I felt really bad.
Yeah.
Especially when I saw Linda's kids cry, and I was like, "Oh, you're so mean."
Yeah.
And then I had to keep telling myself, "It's a competition. It's a competition."
Yeah. Thing is, it was. I suppose it's one of those shows. I mean, looking back now, is it just the fact that you were a part of it? I mean, a few of us say this on Wipeout, that it's not so much about who won and lost. Looking back all these years later, it's just the fact that a handful of you were lucky enough to be part of that whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just you know what it feels like. You're just in this cocoon of something can.
It's like you're transported to another world, isn't it? Really, it's
you
like
are.
the ultimate play center, isn't it? I mean, this is why I've always wanted to do Gladiators, because the games just look so much fun. They just look amazing.
Were so much fun. I really want you to do it.
I know. I'm gonna look. I am gonna try. I've set myself a target. I've started to ramp up the training a bit now, and I'm gonna see if I can get myself back into shape. I know what fitness I have to be good enough for the auditions and for the show. It's just a case of if I can do that in about the next 10 months. It's about 9-10 months I got. So I'm gonna try. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Actually, the one thing I've got, and this is where I think you might be able to help me on, given that you're unbeaten on Duel, next time you come over to the UK, I actually, for anyone who doesn't know, but when Sky did their reboot in 2008, after the show finished, they started selling off bits from the show, and someone messaged me and said, "Are you interested in buying a pair of pugil sticks?" So I've actually got a pair of pugil sticks from the show. It's just I haven't got any helmets yet. So they've been sat in storage for 10 years, and I haven't really used them. I've messed around a little bit, but I've not really done any sort of bish bash sort of thing with any mates or nothing. So, yeah, if I can get some helmets and you're heading over sometime, please, you got to give me some tips.
You're on.
Yeah.
You're on. And that's it, but I'm not wearing any big banana outfit.
No.
I'll definitely take you on. That'll be so much fun.
No, that'll be so good. In fact, I have to ask now, because we said this with Lisa last week. The audience the numbers that would watch your show compared to what we get nowadays, it's just a different era. And we said about how you were practically household names. Out of interest, what was the response after you'd been on? Because I mean, this whole thing with Richard Branson. Shall I just go to a couple of pictures just to give people a bit of an idea on things? So let me go to. Let's hope this works. Yeah. So, in case people wondered, the question I said at the top of the show top of this interview, I just said, "What has Richard Branson, a trolley, and a pugil stick have in common?" And it's you're the common denominator. Here's the proof. We had the trolleys on, knew about the pugil stick, and this was your boss. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny. They were so switched on. Like Virgin were just the epitome of marketing, weren't they? And they still are. But I believe this was just before I was going off to film. Right. And they said, "Let's do a photo shoot." And there's actually, I wish I had it, but there's a photo of me doing a handstand in that skirt.
Yeah.
And Richard has to grab my legs, but we go flying. Like, I'm such a calamity, seriously.
Right.
He lands on the tarmac. If I find that photo, I'll send it to you. And,
okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean, lucky for me, I kept my dignity with the scare.
Yeah.
But
good. Yeah.
So yeah, Richard was so supportive, and I found out later, which was a bit sad, but if I'd have won, they'd already organised for every single audience member to wear a T-shirt with "Fly Jackie Fly" on it.
No way.
Yeah, I found out afterwards, so I
goodness.
felt so bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should tell me before. It might have motivated me a bit more.
Do you know what? I mean, I got to be honest. Having watched your shows, I mean, that quarterfinal was so good. You were literally, we're not even talking inches, centimeters. I don't know what it is, but you had your arms planted up there. If you'd got through, well, then it begs the question: how would you have fared against Janet? Because I know Janet was quick on the eliminator, but you were getting quicker and quicker on each attempt because you were quite rapid on it. And who knows? It could have been you in the final. It's one of those what ifs, isn't it?
One of those what ifs. Yeah, I'd love them to do geriatric geriatric gladiators. They should get us all back. I mean, how much fun would that be?
Well,
just for one show.
It's a bit like look at athletics. They've got masters athletics. Once you're over 35, they split everyone into age categories. They should do a masters gladiators. That would be so good.
Sounds so much better than geriatric.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, in athletics, one of the best things I've seen, I went to France years ago and I watched the men's 80 and over category for pole vaults. It was incredible. I was watching 85-year-old men doing pole vault. And here's the depressing thing. At the time, my PB on pole vault was only 2 meters 50. Okay, it's not much. In the 80-year-old category, I would have lost. I would have come second. So I've got
you're not doing your credibility any good.
No, I'm not. So I've got 40 years to try and improve my pole vault so that I can actually get a medal at the World Championships.
Well,
yeah. So
just to answer your question, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
You did ask me a question and I didn't answer.
Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
So the night that you asked me what happened with the audience. So the night that I was on my very first show, Virgin had organised this big party in London for something, and they had me standing at the door.
Right.
So everyone that was coming through, honestly, probably I reckon 70% of the people that walked through that door that night went, "Oh my God, just watched you on Gladiators."
Genius.
And so they're so genius. And then I remember doing my first flight afterwards, and I was doing my safety demonstration.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. The whole of the E zone, the last zone of the aircraft, were going, "Gladiator," and I was trying to be really serious with my oxygen mask.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, fun.
Do you know that highlights now how much of an impact shows Saturday Night TV would have on the public in general? Because to get that sort of response, I bet you if someone's on a show now in the evenings, you're not going to get. We don't get the same audience numbers now. We don't get it nowadays. You've got to be on TV so many times to get that recognition. Whereas for you, the audience was there straight away. I mean, we said like with Lisa last week, you're hitting like 14 million, per episode. So it was like a quarter of the country were watching you. So it's that would explain why so many people recognised you at the door of that of that function.
Yeah, it was bizarre, wasn't it? I never thought of it like that. I think when you're on the show, it's really good not to. I mean, to be honest, actually, that's not true. I had a thing. When you look back on the shows and you think, "Oh, I wish I'd done that better. I wish I'd done that better." Yep. I realized down the track, I actually had this. It sounds ridiculous, but I had a fear of success.
Right.
But I was so more worried about what people would judge me, like as a person. Right. I kind of wish that those moments where I said about Jet wrapping her legs around me, there was more of them, because that was me.
Right.
Whereas you might experience this. Have you ever, when the camera goes right in your face, you freeze?
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you an example now a second, very quickly with Wipeout. A lot of my stuff that was said on camera never made the final edit. It was, I mean, I know we're sidetracking quickly, but I'll give you an example. The Wipeout zone at the end, the nighttime course. When I finished, I'd already said beforehand what I was going to do with the money if I won. And then they wanted me to say at the end that I was going to send mum and dad on holiday. What are you going to do with the money? And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I think I need swimming lessons, because I kept falling in the water. I was rubbish, wouldn't I? So that never made the cut, but it's so true. When a microphone's put in your face, your mind can go blank so easily, and you don't know what comes out of your mouth.
No, you don't.
No.
You don't, until you watch it back later, and then you go,
and then you think, like, did I really say that? No. Yeah. So, yeah. So if people ever wondered, no, these shows are not scripted. You know, if they think they are, maybe the presenters have got a rough idea of what to say, but whatever you say, it's just, it's whatever comes out of your mouth is a surprise to you as everyone else. Same with me. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess it's how they edit it too. I was really fortunate because they were so kind to me. Like they made me, you know, everything they said was positive and funny, and and you think, you know, look at reality TV today, and it's quite the opposite as it is in Australia. They distort some of it. So some people always looks like a villain sort of thing. So
do you know what? That reminds me. I remember, you know, I was hearing from someone who worked on a show, and they said it all happens in the edit. So whatever you sort of say, they can just take little segments and turn it into something completely different. I mean, the classic one I heard: if you see an interview and two people sort of talking face to face, if the camera cuts from one person to another, they could edit someone's responses to completely different questions and make the interview look totally different. So it's for people who are wondering, it can be quite sneaky. Don't always believe everything you see on TV. It can be things can be edited in a funny way. But
absolutely,
luckily we didn't have that to worry about on our shows. It was more light-hearted.
They were nice people. Good show.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. Before we talk about the international side of things, out of interest, what was before we go to the internationals? How did you become what was the story behind you becoming then a reserve for International Gladiators? Because that was filmed like immediately after the British series.
Yeah, I always thought they just felt sorry for me. No, I'd actually gotten on really well with Nigel Lithgow and John and everybody, and they knew I wanted to be a gladiator. They knew that was my goal. So I think they wanted it, and they also said to me, apparently I had the quickest time for the Eliminator or something. So they were like, even though I fell down, they were like, look, we really want to give you this opportunity. We like you as a person. Do you want to stay on? And it was like, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. So of course, I think I just had to make that call again to work, but obviously they were fine. And that's how it happened. It was really easy. It was just a conversation. Do you want to stay? We'd love to keep you here. And that was it.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good to know, because what we're going to do, we'll carry on with the international stuff in a minute. And there's a reason for this. If we talk about the athletics now, and people may sort of wonder, why are we doing it like this? It will make sense in a moment.
Sorry.
And this is relative to something that got completely edited out on the international shows. So, okay. So in the heptathlon, first of all, that was in the 80s that you were mostly doing that? Was it the
late 80s? Yeah.
Now, in case, to give people some sort of reference point, if people are familiar with the likes of Denise Lewis, who won gold at the Sydney Olympics, in the heptathlon, your 800-meter time was 1 second faster than what Denise Lewis can do. So that'll give people that'll give people an idea. And your high jump as well. I was at the Commonwealth watching the women's heptathlon back in the summer, and some of the girls were just getting up to about 170, 175. A couple hit 180. You 181 was your high jump?
Yeah. They were my two best events. Yeah.
That is impressive. I mean, there was a time with me to get over that. I mean, I can't high jump that amount, but if I wanted to clear that height, I needed a pole vault to try and get me over.
Well, clearly, we've got to work on that.
Yeah.
You know, Denise Lewis and I were really good friends because she was younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Denise used to sort of. So I was a little bit above her at she was first starting out, and then I remember when I was watching her, I obviously stopped doing my athletics, and I was watching her come through, and I was just like, you know, I felt like a mum, even though I was only like a year or two older. I was like watching my own child do so well. And she was just such a gorgeous person. I was so proud to see her do so well. But gosh, you're really taking me back now.
Yeah. Well, because I was checking through some of your results. So let's see. In '86, you did the under-20 World Championships. That's correct? Is it?
It is, and there's a story there if you want to hear it.
Go on. Yep. Dish the dirt. Yeah, let's hear it.
So my personal best was only as far as I believe, it was about 4,000 points or something really low. And the qualifier for that event, because it was the first one in the world,
right,
I believe was about 4,900, 5,000 points.
Yeah.
And my coach at the time was on the athletics board, and he went down, and they're like, they were picking the team. And they're like, who should we do for the heptathlon? And he's like, well, you got to take Jackie. And they laughed at him. They literally laughed and went,
okay, yeah.
Nowhere near good enough. Like, we can't just take someone.
Yeah.
So I remember him coming back to Liverpool. We were training at Wavertree, and he looked at me and he goes, whether they did laugh or he just said that to make me cross.
Right.
He said, look, I want to prove these people wrong. And we had about 6 months. And I went, okay. So we trained super hard, went to the 3Age champs in Hull, and it was only about a month before Athens or something.
Right.
It was the cutoff. That was the last chance I had.
And
anyway, I don't know, the gods were with me that day. I ended up smashing about 4 of my personal bests, and I got 5,300 points.
Oh my goodness. What was your PB previous to this? What was your PB on the points?
I don't even think it was 4,000. It was like 3,900 or something.
Good grief, that's huge.
I know.
Yeah.
My coach was crying, I was crying, my mum was crying, and all the officials at the athletics board were like, what just happened? Like, what have you done with her? And and all I could say was, he made me eat porridge. I ate porridge for 6 months and trained really hard.
Right, yeah.
So I got to Athens, and it was amazing. It was just insane.
Oh, talk about an iconic venue as well, Athens. I mean, that's where it all started, wasn't it? Yeah, Olympics. Yeah, it started in Athens, didn't it? Olympics. I'm sure it did.
And the Gladiators.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and that as well. Yes. It all comes back to Athens.
Everything comes back to Athens.
Yeah. So you started competing for a few years, and then I noticed in your results there's one in the USA in '89. Is it Tucson? Is it Tucson, Arizona? Yeah.
Tucson. Yeah.
Well, I can't pronounce these names. Sorry. Yeah.
I was the same when I was flying over there, because I got Athens. I got recruited from the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
But I didn't go straight away. It took about 2 years for me to actually go over. But on the plane, and everyone's going, where are you going? I'm going to Tucson. And they're like, Tucson? What's Tucson? And I'm like, Tucson in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, you mean Tucson?
Yeah. So was this so you were just out in America? That was just university you were doing out there, was it? And then you were competing at the same time, yeah?
Yeah. I went over on an athletic scholarship.
Right. And am I right that was when you, amongst all the people that you competed against, there was a certain American who then became quite well known on American Gladiators called Peggy Odita. Is this correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So Peggy and I were heptathletes, and we at university they had circuits. So we were under the Pac-10, which was a region that included California and everything like that. So yeah, Peggy and I used to compete against each other.
Right.
Yeah, she was a big rival.
Oh my goodness me! Because, and this is what I cannot believe. I mean, did you see Peggy's run on the American Gladiators at all? Have you ever seen?
I did see a little, but not much.
There's a couple episodes. I'll send you links to it. I put a few episodes up on my YouTube, but the official American Gladiators channel, they're starting to put up the much better quality. So as they're going up, I'm going to start taking mine down because theirs looks better, and I don't want to get in trouble by them as well. So, anyway, I'll show you some of her shows. I'll tell you now, she was like a bulldozer going through her championship. She's in the same year as Wesley Berry, 2 scoops. They both won the championship together. The reason why I've mentioned this, and hopefully people now understand why I've discussed this before we go to the internationals, because, well, then in the internationals, you're sitting on the sidelines just watching it all happen. I'm assuming, did you then notice Peggy sort of mulling around somewhere? What did you two cross paths when she was in Birmingham then?
Yeah, what happened? I was with my boyfriend at the time, and I was walking down a corridor, and she was stretching, and I just quickly looked over, and I said to him, I went, I know that girl. And he went, oh, you think you know everyone.
Right.
It's why we're not together anymore. But,
right.
And the next minute I hear Jackie, and I went, Peggy! And then he just went, oh my God. But Peggy and I were like having big hugs and we got chatting, and I was telling her, you know, I'm just reserve. And it was, I hadn't seen her for about 8 years at that point, 7 or 8 years it had been.
Goodness me, yeah. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this now, and I cannot believe they edited this out. Anyone who is, because luckily for your, in the internationals, we'll set the scene for everyone. If you haven't seen it, Janet Allen, British champion, got through to the semi-finals and then got injured mid-competition. So then, and of all people she's against is Peggy Odita, and then you get called in. And Mike Adamley discussed this with you in the arena, and they completely edited this out of the show. So generally, this is not public knowledge, and you're finally sort of like putting this out there now. And well, I mean, what was your reaction when Janet got injured? What were you doing at the time? I mean, were you in like your tracksuit and everything ready, or what?
No, do you want the truth?
Go on, yeah.
So I'm sitting in the green room, which is a room out the back, and we had a big screen. So we were watching it, but it was late on. I think there was only two events left to go.
That's right, swing shot and duel left, yeah.
Yeah, and we just assumed she was okay. So I'm eating chocolate, and I didn't say it, but I was drinking my Coke. I was really like being, you know, what I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And I never forget, she injured herself, and I literally spat out the chocolate and went and said a naughty word.
Yeah, okay,
right. Say on here.
Yeah.
And everyone looked at me and went, "You're on." And then the door opened. It was, "Jackie, you're on." And I went, "Oh my God."
My goodness me.
So I was like, So then I think, you know, you see my face is like a blank, because I think I was in a bit of shock, to be honest, because I knew, like, in all fairness, she wasn't she didn't have a lot of points, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going into this with nothing. But you kind of get rid of those thoughts and just do it. But
well, it was, I'll tell you now, I can tell you from a spectator point of view, when we were watching Gauntlet, because for anyone, I'm sure people would know what happened. We couldn't exactly see what happened because we were in the lower block. We could anything lower down in Gauntlet we couldn't see, and we saw Janet got to about halfway, and then all the action stopped, and then she was holding her arm and everything. So we thought, oh, something's up there. And then by the time they rolled out swing shots, suddenly we saw, oh, it was someone else. And of course, that's where you come in. And of course, Peggy was on a bit of a mission that day, because she was, I'll give you an idea, in American Gladiators, I'm sure there was one of the shows where in 7 events, she clocked up like 60 points or something crazy like that. I mean, she was known, but she was just steamrolling everyone on that show. But I'll tell you what, I've got a clip here, because really it has to be seen to be believed, because in theory, you pick up Janet's points, you're going to event 4, there's 2 events, you're on 5 points. Yeah, you're on 5 points. Peggy was on 30 at this point. So you're already 25 behind, and Peggy was just absolutely, she was about to make history as the highest point scorer ever. So you effectively, it almost feels like you're just going in just to make up the numbers almost, isn't it? Just to finish off Janet's run. Okay, let me see if I can get this loaded up without messing up. And for everyone wondering, there's a reason this clip is 3 minutes long. You will see why now, because if you haven't seen it, my goodness me, you have to see this episode on YouTube. So we're going to watch it, and then we'll talk again in a minute. Do you know what? And I can't remember if I said it earlier, but I was at the arena for that show, and I can tell you now, the atmosphere was just off the charts. We couldn't believe what had happened. I mean, tell us it from your side, that whole experience.
God. I just remember standing there when Peggy had gone, and it was literally like time had just stood still, and I'm like, tick, tick, tick. That's a long time, 18 and a half seconds. Yeah. And I think for me, pride-wise, I just thought, go as fast as you can. She's going to win, just go. Yeah. So I actually didn't realize she was still there until, you know, when I'm glad you cut it out, by the way, when I fell off the beam.
We slipped off the balance beam, yeah.
So I got up the balance beam and I saw her, and I think that's when I wobbled and went boing.
That would make that would make sense, wouldn't it? Really, because it's the shock element, isn't it? It's like, what's going on?
I was like, what's she doing here? Like, I thought she'd well won. And so anyway, then I get down, obviously, and we're trying to get up the travelator. And they'd actually cut out a couple of other falls, and they were gonna that last one where Janet got up. They said, if you don't get up now, we're going to stop the race, give you a rest.
Right.
Then you're both going to go back to the beginning of the beam.
Oh yeah,
and have a run-off. Right. So I think that really motivated Janet. I called her
Peggy.
Janet. Sorry, Peggy.
Peggy. Yeah.
Peggy to get up. But the funny thing was, straight after that, they took me off, and they found out I had concussion. I had to wear a neck brace for 6 weeks.
What? Oh my God! Where was that from? Slipping off the balance beam? Because you basically went head first.
Yeah, it landed on the head.
Oh my goodness me!
It's so funny, but the adrenaline, like, I just had a stiff neck, and it was nothing major, really, nothing bad. But
so
what they're like. I guess they have to say that. But it was really funny because you just don't, as an athlete, you'll understand this. Your adrenaline is just pumping, and
it can override a lot of things at the time, and then afterwards, the pain comes flooding back afterwards. So
I mean, it wasn't bad. I was just like, oh, my neck.
I can't move. I can't move.
I mean, it looks a lot worse. Like, I'd had my, like, it's such a dodgy. Honestly, watch that if you haven't watched it, like you said, because it is quite funny. I mean, I laugh at it. People are like, oh, it's really funny to see the reaction. Some people are so, like, in awe of what you did, and others are like, you fell off, know.
The thing is, though, it's in the heat of competition. The slightest things can just, everyone can talk a good game, saying, "Oh, if I did that, I would do it this way." Yeah. You've got to perform on command. When that whistle goes, it doesn't matter whether you're ready or not. You just have to do whatever you can at that moment. And I know a few friends who, they talk a bit like this, but then if the pressure's on, they fold. They don't do anything.
Yeah, look, it was just the best. I mean, I wouldn't change anything in that eliminator that happened, because it was just so, like you said, the atmosphere. I remember, like, sometimes when you're competing, you don't hear it. Yeah. You're just in the zone. Yeah. But I just remember, even afterward, walking around with Peggy, it was electric. It was just like, delivered such a good viewing, like, it was really exciting.
What? We were in the arena, we were exhausted. We really were, because we knew we just witnessed something like that was off the charts. And, like, can you imagine? I mean, if you'd got up, that would have been the biggest upset in history, because I mean, she's gone on to win, like, everything. The following... Oh, no, she'd just done it. In America that year, they did another Battle of the Best, and she went up against the 94 champion, Adrian O'Sullivan. She beat her as well. She's done a couple of these Battle of the Best shows. She was just winning everything. So if you'd taken her out, my goodness me, that would have sent shockwaves through.
Oh, God. That would have, like... I've got to be honest here, for about 2 weeks after that, I dreamt about the other scenario. I couldn't get it out of my head, and I was like, why didn't I do it? And I was beating myself up about it. And then I thought, what? It all happened how it's meant to happen. You can't do that. That's what happened. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm time traveling right now, but I couldn't time travel back.
Do you know what? I had something in my mind, and I've completely forgotten what it was going to say. This always happens when you're recording. I knew I had something to say, and it was relative to that show. And I can't... I know what I was going to say.
2 Scoops.
Yes. Right. 2 Scoops was in the arena, because I don't know if it's all right. It doesn't matter. Basically, I've got a ticket stub proving that I was at the arena. I was there. 2 Scoops was around because he was... Okay. All right. Shall I prove it? Okay. All right. This is for everyone else. Let's hold on. Let's go to it. Go back to share screen just to let everyone know I was in the arena when you were competing, and we're going to wait for this to come up. That is the date of your show, 31st of August, 1995, and that blue scribble on the side, that was 2 Scoops' autograph.
Wow.
Now, something else I did at the time, I gave him my ticket, and I had my wallet in my hand, and I gave him both my wallet and my ticket. And what happened is that he just looked at me and he goes, "Oh, is there any money in this?" Now, what happened? I actually met Two Scoops in 2019. I went out to Vegas. I was on holiday. Me and my mate spent a couple of Long Beach and then to Vegas. And I messaged Two Scoops and we met up and did some training. And I asked him, I said, do you remember someone asking for getting your autograph and accidentally giving you their wallet as well? And he went, actually, that does ring a bell. And I went, yeah, that was me. So he actually, because it was such a ridiculous thing, giving him a wallet as well. He actually remembered that moment. But anyway, what I was going to say, let me come back off this. We saw on camera that Sean Clay, who was about to run his Eliminator, he saw what was happening. He basically just ignored his focus for his event, and he just ran straight over to you and was geeing you up, wasn't he, to help you get the travel.
Yeah, really grabbing hold of me and everything. Yeah.
So, of course, you were both reserves, weren't you? Because he was the reserve for Mark Everett, and he had to step in, and then you get called up as well. So that happened, and I can't believe the cameras edited this out. Two Scoops was in the audience with the other American, with Peggy's supporters. He saw Sean Clay giving you, sort of help. He then jumps over the barriers and then comes up to Peggy and then starts geeing her up as well. And they cut that out. There was so much from your show that they completely left on the cutting room floor.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's when your show went to air, I was just gobsmacked because I thought what I saw in the arena and what they put on air, I thought you've cut out so much. That's why to chat to you now and you can expand on all of this is brilliant because you are just filling in a lot of blanks for fans of the old classic show. So you were going to say something about Two Scoops. Did you get to chat to him afterwards?
Yeah, I did, and he gave us. He actually gave us some tips because I think as an athlete, right? Because a lot of the athletes were falling down the travelator,
right?
And we couldn't understand. Like Chris, what was that hurdler? Chris, who was on my show.
Chris Rawlinson.
Yeah, he was the same.
Yeah.
So Two Scoops is like, well, there's a technique, and I'm not sure if I should share it because for the new people, maybe I should.
No, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, it's fine.
So he said what you should have done was jar your foot right at the beginning because it kind of slows it for like a second or so. And then in that time, just go really fast.
Oh, it's a bit like in a gym on a treadmill. Sometimes when you're stepping on it, it feels like it comes to a stop and then it's got to build back up to speed again.
Yeah.
So he tries to jam it to slow it down and then runs up a slower treadmill, as it were.
Yeah, but he said it's not slow. It doesn't slow it for long. It just sort of jars it. So it gives you an opportunity to do really fast. Now for me, I'm a loper. So I was big lopes and leaning forward, which just obviously pulls you under. And he's like, no, you got to go 90 degrees, really fast leg cadence, like you're doing a drill.
Yeah.
And you get up because we all lean forward. And that's why Peggy even was grabbing it because we fall that way.
So if you lean forward, you're going to be off balance and then you kind of fall into the top. And then unless you've got a firm grip, the belt is going to pull you back down, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, if you think of gravity, that's kind of what it's like, hey?
Yeah.
So
I know about gravity at the moment at my weight. Yeah.
You're all right. You look great. I was like, dude, why didn't you tell me that before the show? And he's like, well, it wouldn't have been any fun, would it?
Yeah.
But I was wondering what he was
thanks, Wesley. Yeah.
I'm thinking, what did he tell Peggy then on when he's,
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing he probably didn't tell Peggy either, did he? Because she kept
he didn't.
No.
Yeah, no, he never told her. He told both of us afterward. And then...
at least he was fair on that one. You got to give him credit on that. He was being impartial. Although I'm sure
it was great. We were ripping into him because we're like, oh, dude, you should have just told us. But he was, he was an amazing, fun guy, wasn't he?
He is so nice, like really genuine guy. Yeah,
really nice. Yeah. I think because we never really got an opportunity to talk anyway. In the shows, you're pretty. The contenders for the British team stuck together. The USA team stuck together. So there was no ever any opportunity really.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you're kind of in your own camp.
Right, I get you.
And it was like that with Gladiators too. They were very much sort of not, they were doing their thing.
Yeah. In fact, this is what Lisa said last week, didn't she? That normally in the domestic series it was like that. It was only for the Ashes, that her and the British Gladiators got to spend time together. Otherwise, you're all kept separate.
Oh yeah, because they travelled, didn't they? To
That's
Australia?
right. They went to Australia. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Well, just on that Travelator though, I don't know if you noticed, but they can speed it up. So they start it very fast.
Right.
And then obviously the tighter you get, they slow it down. So when I actually finally got up, that was really slow.
Right.
Like they were so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, thank you. We'll be here till 1 o'clock in the morning if you don't slow that thing down.
Do you know what? I got to tell you before I forget, in the Sky reboot, in 2008, one of the Travelators, they were tripping up so many times. I mean, admittedly, they were soaking wet because they'd done water. They actually stopped the Travelator because they could not get up because they were slipping, because their feet were soaking wet. They took their shoes, their socks off and everything, and they switched the Travelator off and they were still slipping on the Travelator trying to scale up. So it has happened before. But it'd be interesting to see. I'm assuming they'll have the Travelator at the end of the new series. I guess we're going to find out soon because they're filming it.
I wonder how much they'll change.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing because I'm going up there. I got tickets to 2 shows next month, so I'm going to get to watch a couple episodes. So I'll let you know what it's like. We're probably not allowed. I bet you I'm not allowed to post anything on social media. I bet you there'll be a really strict on that side until it goes to air. But I'm sure I can tell you privately anyway, so that'll be fine. I'll make it exactly. Yeah, won't say a thing.
We don't want to get you in trouble, do we?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I find that I'll get my chance of getting on the show will get cut off if I, before I even begin, if I upset the producer.
Exactly. Yeah. Can't be doing that. No.
Yeah. So actually, to just to sort of bring this all sort of full circle, what have you been up to since? Because, well, based on your Instagram profile, you've been, you live in Australia now. So how long have you been, out of interest, how long have you been living there? Because you weren't in Australia at the time doing Gladiators.
No. I came over in 2002.
Yeah.
And then I did actually leave for 4 years, went to live in Hong Kong and Italy.
Right.
Came back in 2009, so I've been here ever since. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So
quite a while.
14 years, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So towards that 21 since I originally came, and then back 14. Yeah. So I worked in the health industry for a while, and then I wrote my book.
Yeah.
I wrote a book.
Yeah. So I was waiting for you to say something else. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say, a book, the naughty book. You haven't read it yet, have you? I'll have to send you a copy.
No, I will. I'll tell you. How about I just order it on Amazon? I'll do it because in case anyone's wondering, I'll tell you what. Let me call this up. See if I can do this. So if you type this into Amazon, people can find it for themselves, or if they go to your Instagram profile, they can find it. So this is it. So Beth Saunders, I take it, is the character, and The Secret Life of a Flight Attendant. So
that's right.
Can I take a guess from this that you may have had a few ideas from some of your from your career, from your sort of flights? Because I'm sure you must have met a few interesting passengers over the years.
To be honest, it's actually a fiction love story. So It's not really about what you get up to on the flight. It's what you get up to out off the flight.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because everyone's like, is it you? Is it you? And I'm like, no, it's not me. But she's pretty rude.
Yeah.
But a lot of the events, because after Gladiators, I actually got propelled into the PR department with Virgin for 6 years. So I did a lot of events.
Yeah.
Which was the benefit for me with doing Gladiators, was it kind of put me into a different role at work.
Yeah.
But so a lot of the story where she works in PR, so a lot of the events actually happened. Like I did fall off a horse and I did fall off a motorbike and all this.
Oh my goodness! Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that part of it was inspired.
Right, I see a couple of ideas because I was having a look. That's been out for it's about a year now. Because I've noticed the reviews. You're on like a 4.9 out of 5, so it is very well received, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think there's only about 20 reviews, though, isn't that?
Yeah, but that's still good going. Hey, it's
funny. It's a funny book.
Yeah,
it's a well-kept secret right now. So my goal this year is to actually do some marketing for it, which I haven't done. Yeah. I had, as you know, just prior to, it was actually delayed because I had something happen in my private life, which was pretty sad. And basically it delayed the publication, and because it's pretty hard to write a funny book when you're sad.
Yeah,
and then
understandable.
I think it was one of those things, once it was out, it's kind of like, it's a bit like in sport, you know, you finish an event and you go, okay, I need a break.
Yeah.
So I haven't marketed it yet, and I'm just, I could kick myself actually. So that's what my goal is this year.
Yeah.
But on a professional level, I've gone more into the health sphere now. So I'm doing a little bit of energy healing, massage, and I've just got involved with a product which I'm going to talk to you about because I think you're going to love it. But it's all to do with pain relief. It's great for ADHD in children, arthritis, all kinds of things that can make people more healthy. And it works on the infrared. It's crystals that work on the infrared.
Oh, okay.
They work through. It's like acupuncture, but in a patch. It's bizarre, but so I'm going into that now because I want to move more into the health field, which is exciting.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, with your book, what I'll do is that for people watching on YouTube, I'll put a link to your Instagram profile on there. If you're anyone watching this on Instagram, you'll be tagged in this post, so they literally will just click on your name. Because if I go back to this, people will see on your profile. They'll see the details because you've actually got a link on your profile for you. Either go to Amazon and type in if they're interested in your book, and do that. But see, if you do this, if people, let's see, I'm going to move the cursor here. Watch this. If I do that, the cursor goes really big, right? So that by there is effectively, if they click on that, it will then take them to this page. And then you've got direct links, I believe, for the Amazon stuff, whether you're in the US, UK, or Australia is a bit further down. So you know that's a simple thing. So if you're watching on Instagram, just click on Jackie's profile, go to that link, and then this is what you'll see. So I thought that's a fairly easy way to try and sort of help people put a picture in their mind of where to go. Because it's always the same.
Thanks so much.
Well, when you're clicking on new links, everything can be a little bit what do you call it? It could be a bit of a minefield. So if you just, if I just show people a couple of pictures, it's familiar when they're ready to click on it. So yes, I tell you what, this has been an absolute blast. I love the fact that your route to getting on Gladiators was anything but conventional. It was just not. It was not the normal route, was it? But
no.
Very, very entertaining. And I think the fact that, what's it, 1995, we're in 2023, through 28, coming up 28 years since, but still fresh in people's memory. And I bet you the views on YouTube for your episodes are probably going to start. In fact, there's an idea. Your 3 episodes, in the link in the description, I'll try and put the links to those episodes so people can actually just watch your episode, sort of complete. I'll have to do that. So it may take me a couple of days to be editing. Yeah. So then you got.
It's funny. I always send. If any of my friends are feeling like a bit down or anything, I say, look, I'll send you something that'll make you laugh, and I always send them that Eliminator.
Yeah. Brilliant. And that's the other thing. The fact that you got 3 episodes as well. That's pretty impressive because quite a few people, if they get on the show, it may just be the 1 episode and they're done. But you got 3 goes at the show, so that's pretty good going. And you were so close to it being a 4th, weren't you? Can you imagine that final? Because that would have been you and Lorraine Bavard in the final. Good grief.
I can't. I'm like I said, for like 2 weeks, all I kept thinking about was that. And I was just like, get it out of your head because who knows? My life went in a completely different direction. One thing I didn't tell you, though, was after the show, Eunice and I used to be great mates when we were younger.
Eunice Hubbard.
We grew up together. She was in the Liverpool Harriers as well because she was a javelin thrower.
Right, okay.
And, so Eunice and I, she was in my brother's year at school, so we were great mates. And then I remember going back to see her before the show, and she tried to give me a bit of a pep talk. Yeah. She actually was a big inspiration for me to sort of do it.
Of course, previous.
And then she went into, after the show, they sent her off to be for a trial for a stunt double for a movie.
That's right. It was GoldenEye, the Bond film. She got called in.
And she got it. So they did the same with me, and I had to go. It was for a Mila Djokovic movie. I can't remember what it was called. And
around that time, that was the fifth.
Fifth Element.
That was it. Yeah. That was in '97. My goodness me! Yeah,
Bruce Willis. Was Bruce Willis in that?
Yeah, it was Bruce. Yeah, Bruce Willis. I saw that in the cinema.
Well, I did. Just to let you know, I went to the audition, and I was against these twin gymnasts. They were these two girls who were twins. We had to do some mental jump off some big high thing.
Right.
And anyway, I didn't get the job. They got the job.
Right.
And all I kept thinking was, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if my life goes like Eunice? Because now she's got like this brilliant, career in stunt work and stuff. But it didn't. But where it did go really well, my life in Virgin just was amazing for like the next 8 years. It was brilliant. Right. So you can't look back with regrets or anything. You just think,
no. Let's just say that your life is not ordinary by any means. I mean, there's so much that you crammed into it. So it's just, can I just say, thanks so much for doing it. This has been fascinating because even though I watched you at the arena, if you'd said to me at the time that years later I would actually be chatting to you about that thing that, that was the second episode of Gladiators I watched live in person. And if you'd said to me back then, one of these days, you're actually going to be chatting to Jackie on the internet.
But isn't that weird? I know, like that. Okay, you just reminded me of something. Sorry, I know we're going over, but
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
Do you remember the Australian compere? The lady, she was beautiful. Her name was Kimberly Joseph.
Yes, Kimberly Joseph. Yes.
Well, she was an actress in Australia, right? So we didn't really talk that much on the show. I talked more to the male Australian guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, fast forward in this, this time travel. A few years ago, I stayed at an Airbnb down on the Gold Coast, and I met this girl called Lisa, and we became really good friends. And she's chatting about one of her really best mates, Kimberly, and she was an actress. Yeah. I'm like, that's not Kimberly Joseph, is it? And she's like, yeah, it is. And I said, oh my God, I met her years ago. So she gets Kim on the phone and we start chatting. And obviously she didn't remember me that much, but we kind of connected, and we are like, she's one of my best friends now.
No way.
Yeah, all these years later.
Of course, because she was presenting that day, wasn't she? So because you got pulled into the competition, you were in the arena. You were sort of mulling around together, weren't you? And now you two know each other.
Yeah, we do. But she's like one of my best friends. And what's funny is after that event, I remember I was at the bar with Ulrika Johnson because we had like an after thing. And I remember talking to Kim then because I just thought, oh, she's lovely. She was just so nice and kind and whatever. Yeah. And she always stuck in my mind. So of course, and I never watched really anything she did on Australian TV. Sorry, Kim. But when her name came up, I just remembered like seriously, we're really good mates now.
That's amazing.
So
and what's that?
And so were we.
Yeah, so this was all by chance as well. It was just because of that conversation, and she mentioned this person Kim, and that was just the name that came to your mind, and then the rest is history.
Exactly.
It's funny how things can turn out in life, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's like we're all connected.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like little web.
Do you know what? I got to tell you this quickly before we wrap up, and it's to do with Andy Norgate. The producer of your, is one of the producers on Gladiators. When I messed up at my audition in the late 90s for Gladiators, I remember Andy Norgate was almost apologizing to me because I messed up on Duel, and I was absolutely sort of gutted. It's kind of funny that then that was in 98. Then 2009, when I got on Total Wipeout, that was Andy Norgate's program. After I did the Wipeout Zone, I said to him, do you realise? I said, we actually met each other 11 years ago. And I said, I doubt you'd remember. I said, I did this audition. I just messed up on the pugil stick thing, and you had to put the other guy through. And I said, it's kind of funny. I said, you giving me a chance on this. I said, I just took out 11 years frustration on this course. And he just made the point to me. He said, it's kind of funny how things can turn out in the end. And it's true. Who would have thought that there's some people that you meet them once and then you cross paths with them at a later date? It's funny how these things go.
It is. It's almost like I'm a bit like into the predestined thing, and for me, it just feels like so serendipitous and so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've just. I really need a bit of water.
You want some water?
Please.
Okay, hold on. There, take it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks,
you got
mate.
it? Yeah. Oh, well done.
I needed that. Thank you.
We had to do it.
I tried to do it earlier. I was like, and you just ignored me. You just kept talking.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. Right, do you want another drink? Do you want another glass?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, okay.
You haven't got any crisps, have you? I could do with some salt and vinegar.
No, I've only got these. I don't think I can pass these to Australia. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. But the thought, they look yummy. Are they chocolate? Yum.
Yeah, they are chocolate pretzels. Marks and Spencers. This is not a paid advertising thing. I am genuinely just buying these for myself.
Actually, yeah.
I know.
Put them away quick.
I know.
Oh, no, it's been lovely talking to you.
I know. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sorry we've run a little bit over time. I got to be careful because we're in a mid-terraced house, so I don't want to wake the neighbours up because it is now. No. It's gone midnight over here in the UK, and it's like,
Oh my god.
What time is it for you? Yeah.
Quarter past 9 in the morning.
It's 12:15 here. Actually, we've caught you up. We're on to Sunday now.
Oh my god! Oh, we're on the same timeline.
I know. Yeah.
Just keep whispering. Oh no, honestly, I really appreciate you doing this for me as well. It's been fab. I've really enjoyed it.
Do you know what? This has been so great for us to chat because we've chatted online, with Instagram and everything for a few months, but this is the first time we've actually chatted face to face, really. So this is great.
Yeah.
But next time you're in the UK, give me a shout. And we'll have to arrange a catch up, and I'll dig the pugil sticks out, and then
we'll
have a bit of fun on those.
Sure. That would be so funny, wouldn't it?
That would be brilliant. Yeah, if we do, I think we should film it as well because it would be entertaining. You can laugh at my technique.
Well, that's if I haven't. Well, you probably knock me off. I'm just that.
Well, put it this, I'll tell you now before we wrap up. The first time I tried using the pugil stick, Andy Norgate just burst out laughing because I just stood there, not realising you had to throw your body weight into it. I was just stood there, just doing that. And he went, John, that is just terrible. He said, no, plant your feet, swing your whole body. He said, you're hitting like a girl, all right? So yeah.
Seriously, so hang on. We've got to get you better at the I have to call them cotton buds.
Yeah, the cotton buds. Yeah.
We've got to improve your pole vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got to get you fit and ready for gladiators.
Yeah, and I've got to get about 15 kilos lighter as well because I'm too heavy at the moment. I got to be under 90 kilos for for gladiators. So I got some work to do.
You can do it.
I'll sort it out. Yeah, I'll get there. All right, look, Jackie,
thank you. I might just go and look for that audition.
Yeah. If I get on, I'll have to give you credit for helping me out.
Oh God! If you get on, I'm flying over there and I'm watching it, and I'm going to
brilliant! Yeah.
Seats.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The backup plan: if I get on, you can't make it. We'll just get a little Zoom camera, and you just be like a TV screen sat on the chair. Watch it that way.
It's pom poms.
Yeah. Woohoo! All right, Jackie. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been absolute blast. This really has.
Yeah.
So we'll catch up soon. And for everyone else watching, again, thanks for tuning in. And still haven't decided who to chat to next. I've got to work that one out, but we'll figure that out. But this is. I have to try and find her contact detail. Have you? Yeah, I'll see if I can find her contact details. Yeah,
I found her on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Not now. It was years ago. I'll see if she's still on it. I'll try and find her for you.
Yeah. Let me know.
How good would that be?
That'd be fun chatting to her. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Right. Thank you ever so much. Thank you. All right.
Go and have a nice sleep.
Thanks for watching. Yes. I'm going to get some sleep now. Yeah. All right. Cheers.
Bye.